Hello, my name is Ben Webster. I'm the head of seniors here at Mercoston International School. I've been here for 2 years. Before I came here, I was working at a school in London. That was one of the most successful schools, with students going to some of the top universities in the world, including Oxford and Cambridge. I'm really lucky that I'm joined today by one of my former colleagues, Jeni May, who has set up a specialist Oxbridge training centre and has come over here to China to talk to us about how to apply to Oxbridge and give us some advice. So, Jeni, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I myself have been teaching for 25 years. I graduated from King's College in London and went straight into education. I've taught around the world in several international schools, from Bangkok to Qatar to Switzerland. I've been head of biology as well as working in boarding. And as you know, I then finished up my teaching career by working in our London school, where we had the opportunity of working with some highly academic students and really enjoying enabling them to pursue their careers at top universities.
So in China, the phrase Oxbridge is fairly well known, but of course Oxbridge itself isn't a place. So maybe we should understand what it means.
Yes, so Oxbridge is an amalgamation of Oxford and Cambridge, the two oldest universities in Britain. Both of these have a very unique method of teaching and, well, everything. They have colleges, so as an applicant you have to decide which college you wish to actually apply to, and you can apply to up to 2. That is where they would have their interviews. They are then in a tutorial or supervision system. So the learning is very different. It's not just lectures. They will have their tutorials or supervisions within the college. Where they are also living, and this will be a small group, a dynamic learning environment where they are discussing their subjects with their professors, and they then, in addition, have their lectures in larger groups.
What do you think would be your advice to someone coming from overseas to the UK, maybe going to Oxford, Cambridge, maybe going to another UK university? How should they best adapt to life at a UK university?
Well, one of the things about UK universities really is to throw yourself in. There's so much more than just the academics. And if you've been lucky enough to have a holistic education and international school, then you will be familiar with whether it's the music side of life or the sporting side, that you get involved in the societies, because that's how you're going to meet people. You're going to be able to mix with different nationalities, because of course it won't only be British students attending, but it's a great way to make friends and to find people outside of your course, so that you're not only mixing with those that are in your subject that you're studying.
What would be your advice to someone interested in applying to Oxford or Cambridge?
Well, the first bit of advice is to start early, because it's actually really important. Not just people imagine it's about your A-level results, but of course it's actually much wider than that. So it's really important to have a firm platform in your Key Stage 4 results. So getting top grades across the board in a variety of subjects is really important. And at the same time, beginning to understand what are your passions, what do you really want to study? Because remember, you're going to be studying this subject day and night for 3 years. So it's really important that it's something you're very interested in. Once you have a better idea and you've chosen your A-level subjects, then you would start perhaps reading wider, taking part in competitions around those subjects, perhaps also some skills, gaining some skills that are outside, for example, being in the debate society, beginning to speak, because when we come to the application for Oxford or Cambridge, you are going to have an interview. The application process itself for UK universities is through the UCAS system, but for Oxbridge applicants, they would also have to have an interview. This is absolutely key, and it is modelled on, as I explained before, the tutorial system of having a discussion with 1 or 2 of the professors for your subject. So being able to not just know answers to questions, but to be able to speak beyond your understanding, being able to bring together ideas from your subject and from outside of your subject is really vital. So the sooner that you start learning how to do that, how to think critically, how to think aloud, how to be out of your comfort zone of knowledge, the sooner you start learning how to do that, the better.
Could you give us an example of what an interview question might look like for a particular course at Oxford or Cambridge?
Okay, well, I suppose one of my favourites is something along the lines of, how many oxygen molecules might there be in this room?
Okay.
Or how many grains of sand in the world?
Okay.
Those sorts of questions.
So do those questions have an answer?
The answer isn't important, I think, is
Okay.
what matters here. It's not about whether you do or don't know the answer. It's about how you can logically think through to approach the question, to approach getting an answer.
Okay.
So that you might begin to think about calculations. So in my questions there, you might think about the size of the molecules or the size of a grain of sand. You might then think about how you would work out how many beaches there were in the world, or those are the sort of calculations that you would begin to be discussing. And here's the important thing, is that you've got to be doing all this out loud. There's no point in doing it in your head and then trying to come up with an answer. They want to be able to hear your thinking.
I see. Are there also some tests that students might need to do?
Yes, and that depends on the subject that you're applying to and the university that it's at, and actually also the college that it's at. It's a little bit complicated, but there are admissions tests for several of the subjects, and these are beyond A-level studies. Would need to have someone potentially helping you to understand how to maximise your chances of success.
So there are some subjects where they will be doing some tests before the interview, and they might also have some tests sometimes in an interview.
Yes.
We're really excited that Jeni May has come over and we have a collaboration with Murchison International School. Maybe you could share a little bit about how Murchison students are going to be benefiting from your expertise and support.
It's a collaborative programme, as you said, so it's great that now this year you have started your Aspiring to Oxbridge programme within the school, and so all of the interested students are able to meet together on a weekly basis, and that means that there's a firm foundation being put in place. And then what Jeni May can offer to augment that is that all of the students can have a supervisor assigned to them, and that will be somebody like myself who has years of experience of helping students to make their applications to top universities, including Oxford and Cambridge. They will have that ability to really draw out of the student what it is that they are able to do, how they're able to go beyond their comfort zone and learn how to critically think and analyse, and how to talk about their thoughts.
So they would have a supervisor linked to their subject that they want to apply for.
Yep.
And how often would they meet with their supervisor?
The idea is that they'll be meeting mostly once a week, but the great part about the Jeni May programme is that they will also have an undergraduate assigned to them. So this will be someone who is currently studying their Oxford Cambridge subject. They might be a recent graduate, or they are currently at the university. This means that the Murchison International students will be able to ask questions of someone who is literally sitting in the college that they want to be in, having the learning that they aspire to. The reason for using the undergraduates is twofold. One is of course to help the Murchison students to understand what life in Oxbridge really is like from another teenager's point of view, but also it's so that they can work with the supervisor in modelling the tutorial or supervision system. They're going to be able to hear from a student, how do we actually do this thinking aloud? How do we do this discussion beyond what I could possibly understand at the moment? Because it really is very different to classroom education. Even like a top education establishment such as Murchison, this wouldn't be taught within the classroom. It's really ideal that there's this opportunity for them to witness and then participate in that small discussion.
What would be your top tips for applying to a top UK university?
Okay, so it's really important to have a strong academic record, so from Key Stage 4 and into A-levels. It's also really vital to have that broad portfolio of experience. So academic competitions, an EPQ, perhaps get work experience, also being able to practice the critical thinking, being able to speak eloquently about your subject and your passion for it, but in a very open way. So I just wanted to say how wonderful it's been working with Merchiston International students so far. They're a phenomenal group of students that I've really enjoyed meeting, and I'm looking forward to Jeni May supporting them with their applications going forward. And I wish them all the best for their outcomes and good luck for obtaining their places at UK universities.